Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome to an installment of What's the Worst That Could Happen? Just gonna wait here on Susan here for a moment. We've got a vehicle in the fleet, one of the members of the trailing fleet. This is my wife's TRX-4 G-Wagon. His name is Jade. Jade has a problem. Jade's problem is, fundamentally, Jade is a TRX-4. If you don't know what that means, what it means is this. There's some wire cleanup that needs to be done on this. I would like to get rid of this foot-long extension. So, that's fairly typical to what a TRX-4 sounds like. Let's put the amplifier on it. It's not that it's overwhelmingly loud. That gearbox will not stay in adjustment. And I believe, are we doing like for like here? Can I even see the gearbox? No. I can't tell you. Yes, we are indeed doing like for like. I can see the linkage. There's a little sight hole in there. I can see the linkage. This interior has to be completely removed because we need to get to the gearbox. Why do we need to get to the gearbox? Because this is a thought experiment, which we will entitle, What's the Worst That Could Happen? Because inside this box, there's another box. And it is the same box, or should be the same box, that is currently fitted to this vehicle. Well, we're going to answer the question, potentially. Can we make a TRX-4 quieter? I've been spoiled by stuff like the Stealth X. Now, I'll tell you right now, every one of these aftermarket gearboxes, I want to say this is RC Lions, every one of these aftermarket gearboxes comes with a steel spur gear on it. Just take it and throw it away. Take it and throw it away. It will do the absolute confirmed opposite of what we're trying to do right now, which is quiet this thing down. They are incredibly loud. Luckily, all of the TRX-4 bits just slap right on. I mean, the slipper, and also, why would I do this with this gearbox and not an OE Traxxas gearbox? Thank you for asking. The answer to that will hopefully become evident here as we pull this thing apart. Mostly because what we want to do today involves pulling this apart and replacing all of the included bearings, not because they're bad, but because they are steel shielded inside and out. And if my wife sees a puddle, straight in, no hesitation. Also, not a speck of thread lock on these, and this case is full metal. So I replaced the bearings with, okay, here's that answer to that question. Well, why wouldn't you just use a Traxxas? And the answer is right. I'm trying to get it to all stay together so it looks a little prettier. The answer is right here. Here's your answer. The shift fork for the 2-speed is metal. So it's all metal. There's no plastic bits. Everything inside here. These gearboxes are all metal. Now, what we're going to find out in reasonably short order is, I mean, it is greased. There's a very light amount of grease on there. Can't complain about it too much. What we're going to find out is, what is our what are we talking about in terms of the grade of the metal that the gears are made out of? Because why a TRX-4 gearbox is so loud is they use big old honkin' straight cut big old gears. I know those two don't mesh to each other. This one meshes with that one meshes with this one. They use big old straight cut gears. So look at the amount of surface contact they have. So the thought that I had, smart or otherwise, is, can I take this to the lathe and can I unstraight cut these? Can I put some beveled edges on these and quiet this gearbox down? Can we get below? Maybe. There's really only one way to find out. And the way to find out is to disassemble the whole gearbox, take all the gears out. Also, I don't think the transfer case is helping out in this regard, because the transfer case is, come on, pop loose. There we go. Is again 3 big old wampin straight cut gears. Luckily, all 3 are exactly the same. I won't replace the inner bearings, the bearings that are inside, like all the T-case bearings, just fine. The only ones that really need replaced, output bearing here, output bearing to the front here, output bearing at the bottom here, the 3 exterior bearings. Look at that. Look at that little guy. Look at that little guy. I don't know if I've ever seen that little guy before. Apparently they needed a spacer. Yeah. This one's got one on it too. Little brass guy. I will replace all of those as well with Traxxas Teflon, just because it is my belief that they will be quieter. Say what you will about Traxxas. Everybody has their own opinion when it comes to Traxxas. Here's how I feel about Traxxas. Every single... Well, that's probably not helping. It definitely machined some burr edge off of those. That might be why that spacer is in there. Every bearing is the same size. Every screw is the same size. Every pin is the same size. It's just, there's a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's at least 5 pins inside the box. It's all the same pin. It's just the same pin 5 times. And I absolutely appreciate that. I've never seen these spacers inside one of these before. Also, we have 2 output shafts. There's the output shaft to the front, there's the output shaft to the rear, vice versa. It's impossible to get them mixed up. It's a very well thought out gearbox, because they've minimized the ability to assemble it incorrectly. This gear is really feisty. Oh, I take it back. There are a couple bearings that are smaller, but they go inside these gears. They go inside this gear. So it only fits in one spot. Oh, another shim just fell out. This thing was shimmed to high heaven, as they would say, when they put this gear down. It really locked in. Oh, again, another one. I will probably be doing the same, lapping the gears down a little bit, and then shimming it to fit. I want this thing to be smooth. Again, there's another pin, exactly like all the other pins. Drop this guy out the front. There's the bearings inside there. And the other bearings that aren't the size, there's 3 of them that are all exactly the same size. So there's 2 sizes of bearings. It looks nice. All the bits look nice. Now, We're going to operate from an assumption that these gears are hardened. I would have no reason to believe that they're not. So I'm going to have to fabricate some sort of collet mechanism to hold the gears in place. And I think that the best way to do this, we're gonna test it. We're gonna do a thing. We're gonna do a very smart thing first. At least something that I regard as smart. We do not have a single. This is all in. This is the Rubicon comes immediately. We have no gears to fall back on. Once we cut into a gear, we've cut into a gear, and for curiosity's sake, these are what the portal gears look like. So I do have extra ones of these, and we're going to try the same treatment on a portal gear, because if we can bevel the portal gear and bring the noise down, we can't. Output gears are basically fixed, the output into the portal box. But if we can tune these down a little bit, I don't think it's going to compromise the strength excessively. If we end up breaking a tooth off of one, I've got a lot. So there's always that first moment. First things first, I've got to find a shaft that we can put a pin in and lock this down. Probably a slipper shaft of some kind. So our first attempt, stub axle out from the portal box. So long as that is centric, and there's absolutely no reason that it shouldn't be. We're just going to attack this thing with a fine file and some cutting agent of some kind, and we're gonna see what we end up with. We may end up having to go the crazy way, which is oxide wheel on a Dremel, so spinning against spinning. Because once again, I'm assuming that these are hardened. Okay, they are 100% hardened. A file basically doesn't have, it just goes across the top of the teeth. It doesn't even take the coating off the outsides. But you get abrasive against abrasive, I mean, that's not too shabby, right? In terms of faux chemistry, that's not bad. I'm wondering, there's still a little bit of a sharp edge on there. I'm wondering if we can round it over even a little more. But it came out really consistent. We'll compare that to unmodified. There's your difference right there. This is all theoretical. And we are also, oh, by the way, I found all those other gears. Yeah. In the Gearbox MISC. Lots of gears in there. We're going to see if the same process will work on the portal gear, because I got 4 of them right here. I can bevel these 4, pull those 4 out, throw them in the bin. Now, these are powder metal, but it should work exactly the same. So now what I get to do is, this was easy, 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 easy. This one will be a little bit tricky. I don't know how, like, these are the 2 guys from the 2-speed. I'm going to have to figure out, because this is bearing, how are we going to clamp these guys down? Well, think of something. And it's not like they're getting an incredible amount of pressure put on them, because I'm using a grinding wheel. I'm using a grinding wheel, and I'm coming up from the bottom, so it's shooting all of the stuff that wants to be in my eye holes. It's shooting it away from me. I'm not saying this is the way to do it. I'm saying this is the way I'm doing it. All right, I used a couple different methods. Mostly it was just a standard stub axle. I think this is Capra. And I would put the gear on it and either put a lock nut or just a spacer in order to hold the gears in place. And then when I got to the bearing ones, where'd it go? what I think is a slipper shaft for a VFD. I kind of remember this part. The little hollow, the bearing recess for these guys just fits perfectly over that. Like, perfectly over that. And then I would put a spacer on the front. Usually I had a couple different ones. I don't know what any of this stuff is from. This particular guy, I made this brass piece over there for some reason. And I literally just threaded it in, and it was and it held it perfectly, and we just used a little abrasive to take the edges off. So there is the double beveled edge. That's one of the 2-speed gears. The other 2-speed gear is right here, and I can tell you this, I did a lot of it by sound. So if you were gonna, my recommendation is, if you're gonna get one of these gearboxes, and these gearboxes are great, basically some like 120 grit sandpaper, and just kind of go over the top. The gears got, the sandpaper goes on and it goes, and it just takes that little edge off. So we took the tiniest bit off of the actual tooth depth, and surprisingly, I'm starting to question, I know we've been saying powder metal, I think Traxxas is just using cast. I'm not sure, like something's poured it, they might be powder metal, but they took every bit as much vim and vigor to get those beveled down as it did on the ones that are definitely hardened. So I don't, there's no chance it's not going to take the volume level down. Now, that said, this is the gear that I just pulled out of the rear portal box. After machining them, they went in for about 10 minutes in the ultrasonic cleaner, and then I sprayed them down with brake clean and then a brass brush to make sure there was nothing left inside the gear teeth. We went all the way around on all of them, and these are pretty clean. I just fingered myself up from this one. This is the gear that came out of the rear portal box just now. This is the inside of the aforementioned portal box. Oh, it's bone dry. It's bone dry in there. So it's going to be multiplied factors here, because we are indeed going to put this gear on, and we're using our tried and true, our forever favorite CV joint grease, and we're going to go not light. We're going to go a nice full round on there. Now, as I said, output gear, I'm leaving that guy full because I don't imagine how it's going to make that much of a difference. Because if one of them is beveled, it's already reducing the contact area, and now we're absolutely jam-packing it with grease. Hopefully this is going to bring the noise level down. Now, TRX-4 owners will know I'm just getting these 2 in the front so that I can grab another paper towel. 2 in the front, 6 in the back. It's 8 screws per box, plus the 2 that hold the box to the axle. So no matter what, even if I do this one without removing the box from the vehicle, I can usually do it with a ball end because I only need to get the outer part out. I don't need to mess with the universals or anything. 32 screws. And I do remove the rears, so 36. Is this going to make a difference? You know, it's that confirmation bias. We will have invested enough time into it that I'm going to tell myself, no, it's not one of those instances. It really isn't. You can't talk yourself into the notion as to whether or not this worked or it didn't. it's either going to be, well, let's see here. I mean, it sounds like a tractor. It's either going to be loud or it's going to be quieter. Obviously, I think the grease is going to bring down the noise a little bit. How can it not? I am going to do the rest of the 4 portal boxes, and then we can give it a little zhuzh. So I know this is as unscientific as one could possibly imagine, because the noise floor in here right now is pretty ridiculous. Like, we're hitting, okay, like 67, 68 dB. We'll leave it, well, we can't lean it on the portal box because I'm going to use that. So we'll lean it on this, and then I'll make an effort not to move that. Let's see it neutral. "67, 68, 69. Okay, and then we'll do it right. We'll do it right there. We'll try to recreate this. "78, 78 and a half. Would we agree on that? 78, 78 and a half. Let's get 4 reduced gear, 4 bevel gear greased back in. Shut this off for the moment. And we'll see. Will it change at all? Or is all that sound coming out of the gearbox? All right, time to see. Oh, I had to turn it off because you can't turn the steering to get to the boxes. It's actually kind of easier to do the front than it is to do the rear, because you can turn it and just take 3 screws out, turn it the other, take the other 3 screws out. There are your 4 portal gears. Driver front appears to have had a tougher go than the rest. He's got like a, well, I mean, let's just compare. He's got a real darkness in the grease. When I dug the grease out of the box, I mean, I know this grease is like a dark molly color, but that grease turned black. Black. So I don't explicitly know what went on there. We'll give it a, it sounds exactly the same to me. What did we say? 78 and a half? Half a decibel? I feel like I can say half a decibel. This is where we throw the science out the window, because now the question I have is, how much of that sound is just being retransmitted into the bench? If we get this out. We didn't test it like this before, so. Oh, that's louder. That's significantly louder. That's what I'm talking about. We got to fix that. Oh, you see what I mean? I will say this. Sound notwithstanding, it feels, okay, if we power this down, it feels significantly smoother. Like, you can't usually, that's full engagement. There's a motor on it and everything. You're turning a whole lot of gears right there. Portal vehicles, oh, that might have contributed to a little bit of that volume. Portal vehicles are not going to be the absolute quiet choice out on the trail, because they will have at least 8 gears that a straight axle vehicle doesn't. There's a portal input gear and there's a portal output gear. 2, 4, 6, 8. Straight axle doesn't have any of those gears. So that's 8 more gears. You can get yourself a trail vehicle, even if it's a Stealth X. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gears in the gearbox, but the 2 big nylon ones. And depending on the build, sometimes your idlers are plastic as well. You've got those 7, and then you've got ring and pinion at either end. So you have 11 gears total in the vehicle. There's 6 gears in this axle and 6 gears in this axle. So we have 12 plus 6. So there's 18 gears. There's really no way around it, you know? So, only the finest in quality. I've got a bunch of new, inexpensive, I think we only need to do 3, but I'll pull 4 just in case. This is going to go into a realm of, oh, that one needs to be sealed as well. Oh, that's not what I wanted. The sealed, inexpensive, what are they called? Like Winter Harvest, Winter Garden, Winter something. They're extremely cheap ball bearings off of Amazon, like $7.99 for a tube of 10. So you're talking 80 cents a bearing. They fit much better. I snap in. Hey, pops right out. They feel better. So part of me wants to just replace them all and then put these bearings in the bins for use later. Yeah, I don't know. Well, here's the thing. To put this together, it is an this one needs to be this. We'll leave one of these in here. Let's see. It feels, you know what it feels? It feels fine. There is going to be an absolute shimapalooza here. So I need to turn, what was it, Rusco? I think we got Rusco going. Yeah, one-man army from Rusco is currently playing on the Pandora. I will try to remember, because I don't want to put these little brass guys back in. I will try to keep some semblance of memory. Oh, and we got to, so that the gearbox doesn't come apart. We got to get this thing put back together. Put together properly. That needs thread locked as well. You know, that might be what happened to the other one. This has started to loosen up. So we'll just take that out for now so that we remember to do it. It is symmetrical. Okay. Bunch of shims, a lot of bearings. I will probably also hit the little inner bearings with our old grandfather clock oil. Ugh. By the way, this happens with the Liberty. Like, you see that, right? It's not like I spill this stuff all over the place. It comes through the plastic. And it will always leave an oil spot. Ugh, wherever it was sitting. The Losi, there's one. Look how shiny. I didn't spill it. It's coming out of the pores. It's wild. Anyway, many shims, much grease. Got to get this thing slapped back together. We'll give it a little turn, a little twisty turn. Oh, I've got a brand new spur gear for it as well. Spur gear and one pad and another pad. This will allow me the luxury of laziness, which will be, I'll just pull that gearbox out of there, put the servo, slap it on the servo mount on here, hook the drive shafts up, and we're ready to go. I'm basically trying to warm myself up to the notion that I have to remove the full GRC interior and audible groan insert here, because man, that's not fun to put in. It's not going to be fun to put in again, but I'm more looking forward to building this gearbox than I am taking that interior out and putting it back in. All right, pretty straightforward stuff. And also, before I forget, once you've assembled this, it's just 8 screws to take the whole thing out. So I don't know what I was worried about. It's the same screws that hold the sliders on. Just sits right down. I've already pulled the Bauhaus tray. We're not going to be using this again because on the most recent Wheel & Wednesday, relative to this recording, running the 2200 up front, as one would expect, it's just so much better. It's so much better. And this thing can get several miles, even doing some high throttle stuff on a 2200. So the wife is committed to carrying a backpack now, so we'll just throw a couple extra 2200s in it. They're cheap. I would rather buy 2200s than things like 4200s and 5200s. So we're going to that. We're dropping it in the middle. This guy is put together, and there were some shims involved. Every shaft, so you've got the main shaft. This one goes all the way and comes out the back here. Then you've got the middle shaft that has the 2-speed section on it. That feeds the transfer case, which has the dual outputs, right? Every shaft has at least a millimeter of shim on it. I want to say that the center shaft with the actual 2-speed mechanism on it has 1.2 millimeters of shims on it. I use Teflon throughout, and then a couple of I use these 0.1 millimeter thick shims from McMaster because they have a bigger side, so if they're pressed against a gear, I feel like it helps. The little tiny super thin ones are more versatile because these are basically almost the size of a bearing. I want to say they're 5 millimeter internal. They're either 9 or 10 on the outside, so they're almost the size of the bearing. So it's like a double shield mechanism. Loaded down with grease. Used our Liberty oil on the slipper on the 2-speed mechanism, as well as any exposed bearing faces. And I will say, when tightened down all the way, this thing goes in right there at like a 90-degree angle. I don't know if that's good or bad. What I do know is that I've pulled all this apart. So we've got the drive shafts disconnected. This one is definitely just floating. It's just flopping around. So all we need to do is remove these 2 screws, and we will re-thread lock them before we replace them in the gearbox. I want to get this thing turning loose so I can feel how does it feel. It's got to be bone dry in there. So that's in first gear. And here's in first gear. I mean, we're hopeful. Ooh. It's a disaster. It's going to be really loud. No, it isn't. We'll just use a very light amount of pressure. Surprisingly, everything looks quite good. The pinion gear looks pretty good. Some little... feels like I'm picking a lock. Something really right there. Can you hear it? There's something positively clacky in there. I don't know what that is. We got nylon. Let's clean that up a little bit. So it should go back together fairly easily. And as you can see, we're replacing like for like. And as far as I'm concerned, we have moved into an optimal situation now. Daphne runs this exact gearbox. Jade runs this exact gearbox. There's probably another one of these exact gearboxes. Now, when a vehicle needs serviced and it starts to get something rusty, when a gearbox starts to sound a little complainy, easy peasy. I don't even take the vehicle down off of its garage. I rebuilt that gearbox. Greased it up nice. Yep. There it is. Slap it together. Pull the other one down. Pull that gearbox out. And we're on our way. So there will always be one dirty gearbox here, because I'm not going to rebuild it until I absolutely have to. I've already worked a gearbox today. Don't make me do another one. One is plenty. Is this the Enjora bracket? It is. This is all metal action. This. Put this to... I don't know if that thing is facing the right way. We thread locked it, and I'm going to... Ooh, I'm going to take a big risk right now. I think I popped that loose. I hope this isn't... that this doesn't come back and bite me, you know? I dug through bins trying to find a spacer for 2mm, and then I was like, just put a nut on it. So I put a 2mm nut on it, and that looks straighter. I want the 2-speed performance in this vehicle to be more predictable / reliable. I don't want to hear any more. Now, removing the battery tray, I want to say it was the battery tray. And 50% battery tray, 50% what I probably did to myself again. That's going to try to dial itself out. Fingers crossed that with it pointing up, it won't give us any more issues. All right, I got that thing dropped back in there. I just kind of lost track. I went into a real Zen mode. Okay, now this will go to here, and we want to leave this up here like this. Now what I want to do is I want to boot this thing up. Oh, this has been on the whole time. Nice. I want to boot this thing up. If you're not familiar with the TRX-4, the motor plate has holes in it for the specific teeth, and you're really limited in how many different pinion gears you can run. I want to say with each size of spur, there's only 5 or 6 different sizes of pinions you can run. This size pinion seems about right. I checked the mesh on it. It looks pretty good. I would actually run the mesh a little bit looser, but we don't really have a choice here when it comes to that. So let's see. It's hard to find a spot to balance a TRX-4 because the drive shafts come out so close to each other. That's... This is low. That rhythmic right there, that's spur and pinion. That's 100% spur and pinion. Now, that is a brand new spur gear. So, we're going to replace that pinion. And much as I wish I could do it by only taking off the... Oh my goodness. By only taking off the cover, that is not an option. You have to take the whole mount off. I did put a little bit of chain wax in there in the hopes that what to me looked like an overly tight mesh could be remedied, you know, by cheating a little. It's a little puddle of wax down there. It was not the case. Fighting some FOC. Turn an FOC pinion with your finger. It feels really weird. That is a 12. And it looks absolutely fine. What will happen if we drop an 11 on there and don't change the mounting holes? Just happen to have fresh in the bag during the most recent round of A-main ordering. I went through my pinions and noticed that because we tend to use the same pinions over and over again, I had quite a few holes in my pinion stock, including 11. I had none. So it might loosen up the mesh to way farther in, way farther in. This is an absolute, so this is a hardened pinion. The stay. The aluminum pinions would be the quietest, but they are also the quickest to shark tooth. So we're going to stick with the absolute. That looks just about right. I just want to get it tightened down, and I want to take a look at the mesh. Yeah, that's the mesh I would want. So I'm going to go on record and say it's a very different. There's a noticeable change in sound between first gear and second gear. All right, I need to nudge that pinion back a hair more. And then what we will do is we will get the interior slapped in here. It feels so weird. You can feel that active resistance right about there. Okay. Yep, perfect. All right. I'm going to bolt this up. I'm going to put the cover on. It's going to look something like this. Then I'm going to get that interior refitted, get that power wire tucked out of the way. We'll actually give them a little more. Most of it's in a pool now. I ordinarily don't like to go high speed, but we have a nice sealed cover that we can cover with wax on the inside. I guess that, like, you know, what was the hope? Well, the hope is always that we find the screw that holds that down, which is, I believe, an 8. We hope that we magically turn this thing into a Stealth X. And I'd be the first to admit that I don't think we've quite done that. It is all spur pinion. All of the noise comes right there. So all we can hope against hope, that when we get all of this installed, when we get everything put back in, I'm hoping this is long enough to where I can route it out through this hole so that it's a lot quicker to install the battery. What I've been basically running on this whole time is, you convince yourself. I talked myself into it. I knew in the AM. I knew early. I was like, today we do the gearbox. It's been sitting here in the box a few hot minutes. I was like, you're gonna have to do it. And this thing was particularly noisy last time out, now that she's got her new counterpart to drive with, because Gate Rover with a fresh built Stealth XF just whispers around. These, I gotta say, the Traxxas stainless, is it expensive? Yeah. It is stainless. There is no, you know, a lot of stainless, it'll say this grade might be slightly magnetic. These are not magnetic at all. Every driver tip over a certain time frame will develop a little bit of a magnetic personality. These, it doesn't matter with these, they'll just fall off. Okay. It looks like it went in right. Everything should be bolted down just so. This is the way the seats go. Start from the, we make sure we've got left and right. Front. Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. Should have paid more attention. Rear. Should have paid more attention when I took them apart. I was just like, let's get this thing apart. And let's get this show on the road. I don't know why I'm not using Susan for this and I'm just using a random block. I tell you what, those seats were really uncooperative. Here's the high-tech method of retention. A little 14-inch zip tie. She's in. She's seated. Let's see how much we can tuck of this up behind, because I want to be able to put the battery in facing this way, just like that. So tie that down. That will keep all the wires out of the way, and we'll plug it in just like that. Get that stupid balance cord out of the way. That should be nice. It should all fit in under the hood. That steering is maybe centered, maybe not. Hey, I have too many screws left over. 5 screws left over. That's a lot. Oh! Battery tray. Battery tray! So there's actually only 4 left over. So that does remind me. Now the front of that shock tower is not attached, so we've got to put some lock nuts on that. We can do that in a minute. Honestly, I can't tell. I can't tell anymore. High gear is cacophonous. And honestly, did I complete the thought about how once I knew what I was doing today, I was okay with it. I came quickly to be at peace with the fact that we were going to pull the whole middle of a TRX-4 apart, pull all the gears out, maybe needlessly turn them down on a lathe. The jury is still out, but I would say, honestly, run a little bit of thread lock across, run a little bit of sandpaper across the top of them, re-throttle lock everything, put fresh grease in, and we would probably be right where we are right now. I'm trying to convince myself that maybe unloaded is going to be louder than loaded. Because The more stuff we throw at it, the quieter it's going to be, right? Right? We're holding on. Now, how I convinced myself was the worst case scenario is we have a vehicle that is fully, that is fully cleaned out, all fresh grease on the gears. I was tricking myself into routine maintenance, was what it was. It gave me an excuse to use the lathe for questionable reasons. It gave me an excuse to buy another gearbox, so we have a spare TRX-4 gearbox. Was this worth the time? Well, here's the short of the long of that. I don't really think it much matters. Because, full disclosure, I might have spent 20 minutes working those gears on the lathe. It's not bad. It's just the nature of a TRX-4 being a TRX-4. If you want it to be quiet, if you want a trail rig and you want it to be quiet, straight axles, number one. Portals are going to increase that volume level through the increase of those gears. I would say if you're considering one of those RC Lions gearboxes, I would definitely say that it would be worth your while completely take it apart, just run some sandpaper over the gears. Take any burrs off the gears. I'll tell you what it sounds. It sounds two things. It sounds serviced. I can tell that it's got grease in it now. And then right along with that, it sounds exactly the same. It sounds exactly the same to me. It's just as loud as it ever was. We're just gonna have to deal with the fact that TRX-4s be loud. This is how we test a theory here. I'm not upset about anything that's gone on today. Think along with me. Swapped out portal gears, reduced them, re-greased them. Completely new gearbox in there. Shimmed, greased, adjusted. You will also notice, can I do it with one hand? Yes, I have cruise control. Never that is some you know what that is? That's quality shifting. So if nothing else, it shifts better. I got that really unhappy looking gear out of there. I'm not mad at it. Do I think that you need to go through the work to bevel your gears in there? No. Conditionally. This is right in here on the bench. Out on the trail is going to be a completely different experience. We might get out there and it might sound significantly quieter in nature. But I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to find out probably. Let's be honest about it. The way filming schedules work around here, we're probably going to find out in a couple weeks when the wife gets to audition some tires, because we're going to do a different thing. We're going to pick the tire that she likes. We're going to take 3 sets of tires. We're going to have her drive all 3 sets of tires, and she's going to choose the one that she likes, both in terms of looks, performance, all of that stuff. And we cleaned out some rocks and sand, and the body sits down better now. So there you have it. A very involved drivetrain service with probably a lot of unnecessary labor put in there, but I don't regret it. I don't think it's going to compromise the longevity of the vehicle in any way. I think if nothing else, it's going to shift more smoothly because now all the gears on the 2-speed side have little bevels on them. So it's like we put a little synchro mesh action in there. So it should shift smoother. We shouldn't have to worry about it trying to pop out of gear all the time. Fingers crossed. And it's serviced. So if nothing else, there you go. And there you go. I have to head back into the house to wait for a delivery, which everybody loves to do. Everybody loves to sit around and wait for a delivery, don't they? So I hope that you're not sitting around waiting for a delivery. Well, I mean, this would be a good way to kill the time. I just hope you're having a good day. I hope that you come on back and see us for the next one. I hope that in between now and then, you want to all do your very best to have a good one, everybody. We will see you again here from the canyon. What? Just pulled that splinter out of my foot. What is going on? We'll see you next time, everybody. I have a... Over here? Like, watch this. Looks pretty nice, right? You should see what's behind the camera.